1.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for your patience this morning. We thank you for joining the Public Safety Committee at the work session of Monday, March 11, 2024. Today we have one topic on our agenda, and that's the Executive Regulation number 1923, maximum rates for motor vehicle towing from private property. It's not a catchy title, but it is what it is. And as we begin, I'd like to thank Mr. Nyamia for preparing a most informative packet for us. And unless the other committee members have an opening comment, we're going to ask the panel, could the panel please come up? I guess that's the most important part. The panel to introduce themselves, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Maya to walk us through the packet. Pretty much the whole room will be at the panel. So. Hi, Patty. Eric, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Good morning. Eric Friedman, Director of the Office of Consumer Protection.
Hi, Patty Vitale, Investigations Administrator in the Office of Consumer Protection.
Good morning. Samuel Buell, Operations Administrator for the Office of Consumer Protection.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you for everything you do. You never get enough thanks. Niam, please.
All right, good morning. So we are here today to discuss Executive Regulation 1923, which is proposed by the county executive. The county code requires the executive to update the towing rates from private properties every 2 years. And so the Office of Consumer Protection, responsible for this section of the county code, has provided the updates. As a reminder, the regulations transmitted to council under Method 2 require council approval or disapproval, but council cannot amend them on their own. At most, the committee can offer amendments, and that would go back to the executive to amend the regulation, if there were any such amendments. I can leave it up to the department to kind of talk through how they updated the rates, go through their methodology. But there are really no significant issues from staff's perspective on these rate increases. There is some additional data on towing. I've been informed my numbers are quite off, so we'll have to revise and
Who would have informed you of that?
So we will have to do some revisions on that, but the department can also speak to those data points and work through those at a later date. But beyond that, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Friedman.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Just to put a little bit into context, and then we'll turn over to whatever issues of concern to you. I would like to also mention that we have sitting behind us David Ellswick, who is our certified master automotive technician and did most of the research for the review here. And he's also responsible for helping us deal with all complaints we get regarding cars of any type. We're very appreciative of his expertise. But just for context, Chapter 30C, which is the Montgomery County non-authorized, the towing rates that we use. This 30C is not just a law; it really is a process. It's something that we have to do, which is really a challenge to maintain the correct balance in Montgomery County. Of course, we have to have some regulations. But it's necessary really to have the appropriate balance so that we don't have chaos in the county. And it's really a unique transaction, and we're happy to make this as something that we do on a regular basis. So I return to the packet. We appreciate Naeem, if you want to take it through it.
Sure, absolutely. So the methodology that the department used to develop the proposed rates were based on looking at local jurisdictions, which I've listed on page 2 of the packet. There's about 10 local jurisdictions in the region. They've also looked at other jurisdictions outside the region, both states and other municipalities. The packet contains some background on where our proposed rates would stand in comparison to both local and non-local jurisdictions. Ultimately, going back a little bit, the department also looked at inflation rates from 2 years ago when the rates were last updated. But ultimately, the proposed rates are in line, more or less, with local jurisdictions. They are increasing anywhere from $20 to $70, depending on the weight of the vehicle. For the flat rate portion, which is the portion where the towing operator will hook up a vehicle, lift it, and then store it for the first 24 hours. And then for storage thereafter, after the first 24 hours, the rates are increasing anywhere from $5 to $15 per 24 hours. Altogether, it's anywhere from a 13 to 14% increase for the flat rate and 17 to 18% increase over the storage fees. Majority of jurisdictions that OCP looked at, the proposed rate for Montgomery County is lower than those comparable jurisdictions. And the storage fee is lower the proposed storage fee is lower than 8 of the 11 local jurisdictions. So altogether in line, really no significant issues with the methodology. Sounds fair and reasonable as required by the county code. And I don't know, that's it for me, yeah.
Anything else?
The only other thing I would note that's in the packet on page 2, as Naeem says, is that the rate is equal to that of Fairfax County. And as you know, we compare everything to Fairfax.
Right, of course.
I just wanted to point that out.
Popular habit.
Absolutely. So how did you come to the conclusion that some places in the area would be higher and some places lower, air price? Was there a formula? How did that work?
Well, we just compared it to, and the charts are
Yeah.
charts that have this information, where we compared it to local jurisdictions and what their rates were, as opposed, in addition to actually non-local ones as well. One thing just to keep in mind in terms of perspective is that our office is not responsible for, nor does the law anticipate that we would operate as the Public Service Commission, which is when rates are taken for PEPCO or for other utilities. We don't do all the things that the Public Service Commission would do in terms of operating expenses, capital expenses, maintenance costs, depreciation, taxes, all of that information. We basically just compare what the rates were from before, what other jurisdictions are doing now, and come up with something that is what the statute requires, which is simply fair and reasonable. Again, it's a very unique transaction because we're talking about a purchase that's a non-consensual tow. There are many different types of tows. There are police tows, there are tows that we request, and then there are non-consensual tows, which is what this is. And so we have to get a balance in there. It's a three-dimensional transaction because you have the towing company that's been hired by the property owner, and then you have a consumer who has been driving and parked their vehicle. And so it's something that is just very unique in terms of the marketplace. In most cases, consumers choose which merchant they want to hire, do comparison shopping, things of that sort. None of that applies to this type of transaction. So it's really a matter of just creating balance. There's no revenue for Montgomery County. This is not making money for the county in terms of whatever the rates are, whether they're low or high. We don't ask the towing company what their expenses are, how much they pay, how much their trucks cost, things of that sort. And it's a situation in which the drivers are typically work just on whatever vehicles they can find. And we have to, as I say, it's towers, individual towers don't operate on commission, or typically do operate on commission. So it's a difficult process to come up with in terms of having a rate that's fair, but that at the same time does not incentivize the towing company to engage in what's called predatory towing.
Which we did away with.
Correct. And we certainly don't want to have a bounty-type hunting situation. And at the same time, we need to have regulations that drivers or consumers follow. If the sign says you can't park here, they shouldn't be parking there. But again, it's a very unique transaction in that at the moment, the towing driver may be there and decides whether the driver believes there's a violation or isn't a violation, and it has to be authorized by the property owner to begin with. So it's a difficult transaction to participate with in terms of all the different requirements. Before the cars can be towed, they have to be reported to the police, because we don't want the police department searching for what a consumer thinks is a stolen vehicle when in fact it's just been towed. And so we're there really just to come up with a balancing act in terms of fairness in our marketplace.
Have you found that we're keeping the same number of towing businesses in Montgomery County, or more or less? How's that working?
Yeah, I think the packet made reference to the exact number, 40-something.
42.
42.
But I didn't know it did, but I didn't know whether that was more or less compared to last year or whatever.
It's pretty stable.
Okay.
There are very few, and let me turn over to this.
Good mornings. I don't know comparatively
Right.
if we are seeing an increase in the number of tour registrations, but it's been anecdotally pretty static. There's a certain group of established businesses in the county who do towing operations. Maybe give or take a couple additional, but we can provide that information necessary and get it back
Just
to
to
you.
make sure that, that we're being, that the public has enough options here. And then the only other thing that I have is that on page, I guess the first page, we use the term private property to tow but this is also from public properties, right?
It is only for private property. Now, what's interesting about that is that what consumers perceive to be private or public can be a little bit confusing as you're identifying. So, for example, a shopping center,
Yeah.
Many people consider that to be public property because you can pull into the shopping center and make a purchase, when in fact it's really private property. So this statute applies only to private property, which can be stores and also residential housing.
Okay, but what happens if the police say, look, that car is parked on a public street, but it's blocking whatever, and they have it towed? What authority do they have to do that?
Well, the police have a separate towing law.
So they're under a different statute?
That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay. I have no other questions. Anybody else?
Sure.
We're good?
Quick
No,
question.
please.
Was curious if OCP has received, the Office of Consumer Protection has received comments, received comments from stakeholders like HOAs, motorists, or towing companies in previous iterations of the regs.
Well, it's in constant motion. I mean, we're always working on it. Right now, we have been talking to Montgomery Village that had recently raised some issues. Keep in mind, Montgomery Village has been around since the 60s and 70s and has been working with this statute for all that time. Apparently, recently, they've been looking into changing. There are some options with respect to the statute. Again, the statute provides many provisions as to what has to be done in terms of signage and before vehicles can be towed. And it provides for an option in terms of providing a certain amount of signs, or you can have a lower number of signs if you also put stickers on the vehicles. So just to make it overly simple, there are two versions to the type of requirements that the property owners are responsible for doing. And we just recently have been communicating and will continue to communicate with Montgomery Village to some of the concerns that have been raised there with some of their homeowners. And it's a unique situation where they've got 40,000 people living in an area that has both residential, single-family homes, cul-de-sacs, and also parking lots. And so, but again, each one is a separate HOA, and it becomes a little bit more complex, but it's certainly nothing new. It's what's been happening in Montgomery Village for the last 10, 20, 30 years.
And is that emblematic then of other conversations that your office has been having with HOAs, or is Montgomery Village the main one that's been engaging on this issue?
Just recently, it's mostly Montgomery Village, but we're constantly dealing with issues. There's no question about it. There are disputes from consumers who believe they were improperly towed, that they were illegally towed, that they had not been in violation, that the signs weren't clear. And we're fortunate that our investigators in Montgomery County and Dave makes visits and it's not just a matter of whether or not, well, let me just put it this way, a consumer who's alleging that they were improperly towed has an option there. They can go to district court and bring an action, and if they succeed, they can get treble damages, or they can also file the complaint with our office. And the big difference is the judge wearing the robe is not going to drive out there and look around and do a full investigation the way our office and our investigators are able to do. So we're constantly dealing with issues and complaints, and this is a balancing act that will always be a problem, has always been a problem, and it's just a matter of maintaining the kind of, maintaining the type of enforcements and statute that we want to have in a county to maintain fairness in the marketplace.
Yeah, it does give an interesting opportunity to kind of look at the data of like what's really functional in terms of being preventative and reducing the number of tows that are needed, considering that these are updated so often, and you all have been so diligent in continuing those conversations with the stakeholders. We know obviously that this is an issue on the public streets as well. It's a separate issue, but tangential. So yeah, it would be interesting to get any kind of data that you may have on what's been functional there. Obviously, there's staffing issues obviously that are related to, but it would be interesting to take a look at that information. And then my only other question is that, since this is a case of where we're kind of looking at where the shift of the impact is between one group of people and between the motorists and the towing companies ultimately on its surface and trying to find the right balance there. It may be worth looking into, like with a racial equity and social justice lens, who's getting most impacted in terms of who's getting towed and in what areas, taking a look at equity focus areas and seeing if there might be any adjustments related to that we might want to make, whether that be in terms of more preventative work, public education, or other variables that we might want to think about.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Now, did you have anything?
No.
No. Are we have the opportunity to say, yes, we agree with these, or
Right.
could you
Yes,
change it?
yes.
And so at this point, we don't vote? What is the deal here?
There's no formal vote, it's just informal consent.
We say thank you very much. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, we are adjourned. Thanks.
I should have brought my moot court gavel up for you.